Hello everyone, Chef Eric here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe down below and give this video a like. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the most amazing strawberry Swiss roll. So let's get started. We're going to start by separating out 7 eggs. Yes, 7 eggs. It might seem like quite a bit of eggs, but it's just the perfect amount for this recipe. To start by cracking 1 egg into a small bowl and gently lift up the egg yolk and pass it in between your fingers until the egg white drops. Set it aside into another bowl and pour your egg white into the bowl of your stand mixer or the bowl of your hand mixer. Once you've separated out all of your eggs, add in some vinegar. We now want to get to whipping these egg whites up. So on the stand mixer with the whisk attachment, we're going to whip this up on a high speed for about 5 to 6 minutes until it looks super light and fluffy. Once it's looking super light and fluffy, we can now start to add in our sugar. Now my egg whites had a bit of yolk, so they didn't whip up as well as I expected. But it will turn out fine. So I added in my egg yolks and continued to whip it for a few more minutes. Once I added in the egg yolks, the batter whipped up and looked really nice and luscious. If this happens to you, don't worry, everything will turn out just fine. Add a teaspoon of vanilla and you're done. Your batter should look really luscious and smooth and light and fluffy. Make sure you do not degas the batter at this point. Set aside your mixer and we can now sift over our dry ingredients. We have some all-purpose flour and some baking powder. Gently sift those over with a whisk and then fold them in as gently as you can with that whisk. I don't recommend using something like a mwiko for folding in such a light and airy batter. Just do this as gently as you can. Once that is fully folded in, we now want to pour it into a lined baking pan. So I've lined it with a bit of margarine and put on some parchment paper. You have to use the parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, use unga. So bake it at 180 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. Get a kitambaa as large as the cake and spread over some icing sugar. Once the cake is out of the oven and still warm, you want to flip it over onto the sheet of kitambaa that have a little bit of icing sugar on them. Once you've done that, gently peel away that sheet of parchment paper. Do this as slowly as possible so that you don't tear the cake. Once that's done, we now want to pour a little bit more icing sugar and gently start to roll up the cake. Rolling it up when it's nice and warm will ensure that when we're rolling it up later on, when we've added our fillings, it will be more flexible and really easy to work with. Roll it up and let it chill in the refrigerator for about an hour. In the meantime, we can now start to make our simple syrup. This is what we're going to use to soak the cakes. So for that, start by combining equal parts water and sugar and microwave for about a minute. Once it's nice and melted, we can start to prep our strawberries. Start by chopping up about 150 grams of fresh strawberries and setting them into a bowl. I just quarter mine. You can cut them in anyhow you'd like. Once they're all cut up, add in some sugar and toast them evenly across. The sugar is just going to draw out moisture from these strawberries and give you some really nice and juicy strawberries, which are gonna be perfect for this cake. Nice and tossed up, set them aside. We can now start to whip up some cream. So start by adding in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream into a large bowl. I use vegetable-based whipping cream as I've talked about earlier, but you can use the dairy stuff if you'd like. Add in some powdered sugar and you're gonna whip this by hand for about 5 minutes, just until we have super nice and soft peaks. We don't want stiff peaks, just lovely and soft peaks. Once they are soft peaks, pull your cake out of the fridge and gently unroll it. You want to do this as gently and as slowly as possible. Once it's all nice and rolled out, we now want to spread over our cooled simple syrup or syrup that we had made earlier. This is the equal parts water and sugar that we had microwaved earlier. So just gently spoon it over so that the cake remains moist. This is a very crucial step. Once that's on, we can now start to dollop over some lovely, luscious, softly whipped cream and evenly spread that out over the top of the Swiss roll. You want to spread it out edge to edge until you have a nice and even layer. Pour over your strawberries, which are looking nice and juicy right now, and just gently spread them out all around the whipped cream so that everyone gets an even amount of strawberries in every bite. Now here comes the hardest part. We can now start to gently roll up the Swiss roll. So use the kitambaa as your guide and just gently keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling just until you fully close it up. Just bring it towards you and freeze it for about another hour or refrigerate it overnight. Once it's nice and chill, you now want to trim off the edges. This is optional, but it makes a really great chef snack. And we can now pipe over some more whipped cream, but I just whip it up a little bit more. Pipe it over with an open star tip or any tip that you'd like. From this point, you can decorate it as lovely as you'd like. You can add more strawberries on top like I'm doing today. You can add some chocolate decorations, just up to you. Make your Swiss roll yours and make it look absolutely beautiful. Once that's done, pop over your fresh cut strawberries and you're done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for a brand new video.